Hello, same place, different time. And today I wanted to talk about some Kundalini yoga life hacks that you can actually do even if you have never done Kundalini yoga before, and even if you have never practiced yoga in what form soever before. So, this video is for you. And to all the other folks and folkeens out there who are currently practicing yoga, take it as a reminder for certain aspects. So I am a certified Kundalini yoga teacher. However, I'm not speaking to you right now as a yoga teacher, but more so as Sabrina, and finding out that a sustainable yoga practice to me also means that there has to be a foundation which is sustainable. And whenever life happens, basically to all of us, there will be always bits and pieces out of this foundation that you have laid out that are still sustainable, even if you don't practice yoga on a frequent daily basis. And so this video is about basically a short summary of the things that I found very useful, that I have learned through the yoga practices for myself, and also I've seen that worked for others too. So I wanted to share with you. I have done some notes on that to just have a guidance basically through this video. So basically I wanted to I will be starting to talk about what Kundalini actually means. So Kundalini is one yoga form, but the name Kundalini there are many definitions, and I invite you to do your own research and to find out whatever definition works best for you, because as I said, there are different definitions to be found. One that was resonating with me and that I felt, resonating in a way, was the description of Kundalini as being the energy that children have when they fall. So if you imagine a small child running through the backyard and they fall, Kundalini is expressing that moment when the child actually stands up again and keeps on running. So in a lot of different other definitions, Kundalini is also being defined as it is correlating to the snake, the symbol of the snake. And it's more or less the common ground is that it's energy spiraling through your body, and especially through your spine. So it starts in the back and then it goes up. And as I said, there will be a lot more definitions that you can find on the internet. But basically, that's what I wanted to give you as an impulse to start the topic. Generally, in yoga, you will see a lot of different forms of yoga. So Kundalini yoga is one form, but of course there are many different other yoga forms like Hatha yoga or Ashtanga, or even people who do Pilates, how do you say that in English? It was also a very famous movement, I would say, that a lot of people were starting to practice. So whatever form you might find in your own way that works for you is awesome, and I invite you to be curious also to find out about other yoga forms, because there are a lot. And one thing that I always use when describing yoga in general to people who have never done yoga is basically if you think about the sports of fighting. You know, you have, for example, martial arts, and then you have boxing, and you have karate, and what is the name? Jiu-jitsu? Basically, what I'm trying to say that there are a lot of different forms of fighting that you can do. And I'm still trying to remember that word though. Is it martial arts? No, it's not martial arts. I will remember shortly. Anyways, so when you take those different fighting styles and forms, you will see that all of them have something in common. For example, all of them, you will have that aspect of discipline. You will have the aspect of frequent training to basically train your muscles to get strength, you know. Then you will have the breathing part. Also, you will have a piece of it that is familiar with meditation or even meditation in order to concentrate prior to the training or prior to the fight itself and afterwards as well. So those are the pillars, and they are true for every sports out there. But of course, the way in which they are being practiced is a little bit different. So, for example, if you take karate, it's more defensive, and you're trying to basically, if somebody is fighting you, you're trying to push it away, you know, with the energy, working with the energy that comes towards you. You're not pushing so much back, but more so allowing the movements that you do to flow in a natural way and to basically be able to defend yourself. That is the main focus of karate. Whereas, for example, in other in boxing, for example, the upper part of your body is very critical. Of course, you need the legs, but you will be focusing a lot more on your hands, your shoulders, your back, in order to protect the head and at the same time punch if necessary, if you want to, right? So the foundation, as I said, is pretty similar, but the way in which you then focus specifically in each and every individual sport might be different. And so the same happens for yoga. You have yoga forms where you are just basically focusing on maintaining a certain position. And then you have fluid movements that are involucrated inside your yoga sets. And you can focus more or less on both of them, or you can just practice one of them. And just as I said earlier with the example with fighting, you also have different aspects that are true for most of the yoga forms. Like, for example, the breath work is something that is continuously happening for all of the forms. And then you have static movements and you have fluid movements. And then you have the aspect of spirituality, which differs a lot also depending on which yoga form you're choosing for yourself. And a lot of things also, and there's also the aspect of using words and sounds, frequencies, which is also a reoccurring term in yoga. So also depending on the forms there, that might be more or less in a focus, right? So that said, also wanted to remind you that you know your body better than nobody else. So I'm not a medical advisor. So if you feel like you're curious and want to start yoga and I just want to invite you to look up what are the next yoga places, maybe in your own personal environment, your own personal space, and to ask for normally most of them offer a try. Basically, you can go there and try it out for sometimes for free and sometimes for a less amount of money, so that you can just see if it works for you. So just be mindful of that, and also be mindful of your own progress within the yoga experience, because it doesn't help to compare yourself to others. And everything starts with the first step. So I want to encourage you to get curious, but be gentle with you along the way. All right. So that said, one thing that I found really helpful in my day-to-day, practicing yoga or not, is that focusing on my spine is something that can assist me throughout my day. And what do I mean by focusing on my spine? If you sit on a chair, I will do that with you right now. So I'm sitting with my chair. My feet are on the ground. My shoulders are back, and my spine, I imagine, just like a stick going outside of my head and going outside of my lower back, just where my spine basically ends. And if you imagine that to be like a stick, you can feel your spine going straight. By focusing on your spine, you will automatically feel a difference also in your shoulders. We tend to sometimes use to sit like this, especially now with the camera here and the laptop. But especially if you're working in an office, or you're like a lot focused on writing something, you're basically moving forward. So by concentrating to have a straight spine, you're automatically lifting your shoulders behind. And also what happens is that your chest becomes wider, which allows the air that you breathe to run more fluidly. And you can feel it. You can just feel that you have more space for the lungs, more volume. So that is something to keep in mind. Right. Also, what I noticed in regards to the spine is that it actually, once you start to focus on that and you practice it on your day-to-day, you will find that in a lot of places, for example, I remember that was for me, maybe you will have different situations, but I noticed that, for example, when I was in my car, it was more difficult because my car is not so high. So the moment when I start to have a straight spine within the car, automatically everything changes, like the hands, obviously your whole posture changes. But it's really funny because you start to notice that you have to adjust the mirror. That is something I noticed. You have to adjust your seat. And if that happens for you too, if you find that resonating with you too, it can be a great exercise, because if you adjust your seat in your car and also the mirror, the next time you sit in your car and you automatically sit like this, you will be reminded, because you won't see. So that can be a short life hack, and which reminds you to keep a straight spine. One thing that also comes with that is the lower belly part. When we concentrate on our spine and we sit straight, there is a tendency, and if that's true for you, don't worry, it happens to so many more people, that you should not basically push your belly in front. There should not be a hole in your spine like that. You should avoid that. Straight spine means straight spine. So you can try it out right now. If you sit and have a straight spine, you will notice that your belly will automatically, if you do it right, will fall in front. So if you do it wrong, if you do it in the wrong way, you will be basically pushing your belly in front, and by that you will also be pushing your chest in front, which then results in having this O in your spine, which you should try to avoid, because this is not the healthy position that we want. What we want is to have the straight spine and really relax the area around your belly and just let it fall right in front of you. No pressure, no contractions there, just sitting there and basically holding the spine straight, not by pressing your belly up front, but more so by adjusting the shoulders and maybe possibly even your legs. You will feel it there too, that you can maintain that straight spine without using your belly.